Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Tuesday, September 16th, 2025. I literally almost said 24. Welcome to the Java Cafe. My name is James Jimmy Hills, and I am your host this morning. It is Testimony Tuesday. However, as I often do, I take this role of influence very seriously. And we'll talk about that at the end. But last week, and I think today's Tuesday, so it was definitely last week, and I mentioned it a little bit yesterday, but I find myself in a space of needing to remind us about our humanity. It's very interesting times nationally. It's also very interesting times locally when we talk about humanity. Currently, there unfortunately is a incident that is trending online. And first of all, I have to give homage and a shout out to the good brother Mike Dees, who brought attention to this. And, you know, the legacy major media has now picked it up, and there is a lot of chatter about the incident and, you know, the response. So for those of you that are not aware, I believe it was sometime mid or late last week, there was an elderly woman attempting to either get on or get off the bus, the 23 or the 28 at the corner of MLK and Warren Street. There was another young lady who had a child with her in a carriage. And from what I saw originally on Mike D's video, the elderly woman, I think, had a shopping cart with her. And from what I could see, the elderly woman was slower. She's an elderly woman, to get off the bus. The young woman was trying to get off, and the elderly woman, well, she's elderly for whatever reason, the young woman could not get off the bus at the speed that she would like. And she, first of all, yelled at the woman, and then went on to push her off the bus. And other footage has now shown that the elderly woman, and she may not be elderly under the thing of 65, but she was a woman. She's somebody's potential mother, sister, a human being. She was pushed off the bus and landed on her face. And while I have evolved and done well, and I'm not that street type of dude, there are 4 people in this world that would, and more, but there are 4 without question that would cause me to get out of character if it was my mom that was pushed off that bus like that. With that said, there is a lot of energy online about holding this young woman accountable. I have to give a shout out to Diane Vivian, who brought up a point, and I mean, I thought about this as well, that people who are less likely dealing with trauma, mental health issues, mental illness, would more than likely not push that woman off the bus. And Diane brought up a very good point about someone, I don't remember her exact words, but it was the cadence of it was, no one in their right mind would do that. There is a lot of calls for accountability. I've heard that she's been doxxed, meaning that her information, her social media, I've seen some comments that her address is put out there. I have said for the past few months that we as a community in our humanity have to, again, figure out a way to hold someone accountable with grace. I mention grace in a manner that not only are we in our community, Black and brown folks, holding her accountable, the racists have now pounced. And, you know, one of the things in politics and in Boston legacy media, in certain media, written media outlets, it's often said that don't go to the comments because they will make you very upset. Well, now on social media, they comment on social media. And, you know, often I just troll to see what the cadence is, and not surprised that the racists are pouncing on this horrible example of our humanity. So, as I said, I'm going to hold space today to talk about our humanity. And I found it puzzling, a little concerning that I had a thought that are there tears to our humanity? Interesting. Are there tears to our humanity? And when I thought about it, I said, yes, by my experience. The first tier of humanity that I would say is the tier, or the self humanity. We are now in a time, and since our existence as Black people, and since we were traded and things like that, even within our own, you can't talk. Well, going back to our ancestors and classism, yes, okay, let's just defeat that and say that before someone tries to throw that up as you all enslaved yourselves, whatever. I'm not going to get too far off. The fact that we have to assert our humanity as Black people, period, is interesting. Some years ago, the good brother Jelani Lynch, we were either in comments or texting, and we were talking about the fact that he cannot say the words Black Lives Matter. He believes it. The needing to assert that as a no-brainer in our humanity, for some, is interesting, because you have to take in consideration that some do not think that our lives matter. Side note, there is currently in Mississippi a incident where a Black man was hung, and we need to pay attention to the fact that there was what some would classify as, if they cut me off, they cut me off, a lynching. The fact that we have to assert our Black lives and that they matter is a lot to handle. So in our own humanity, and I just got this thought in real time. Sometimes when it comes to issues of violence and people killing one another, it might be a little bit easier to not consider someone else's humanity when you have not focused on yours, or yours has been so diminished, your history and your culture intentionally being erased. And so for those of you that may just be joining, I've mentioned that I found myself in a space again talking about our humanity. And right now it was really prompted by seeing a lot of the response to the young woman that pushed the elderly woman off the bus that is currently going around on social media. And so that is the first tier, that if our humanity has been compromised, questioned, diminished, there's an impact. And how that humanity shows up in policy, legislation, red zoning, contributions to poverty, and how those things impact us and our mental health, our ancestral trauma, and trauma that's in our DNA, all of that compiled may have lent to why that young woman felt it was okay to push anybody off a bus like that to where they were injured the way that she was. So she's having issues with her humanity. May not be as easy to consider that elderly woman's humanity. The second tier is for, similar to what I just said a few seconds ago, it's for seeing things like we saw, like we've seen on social media and a lot of the other chatter, particularly to in the comments on Mike D's post and others. The legacy media outlets have put out footage and pictures and whatnot. And part of that chatter was nobody did anything. Nobody, nothing. I know if I was on the bus, and this has happened sometimes in some incidents, often where my feet and body are moving before my brain can say, hey, what's going on? Because in humanity, to see that happen, well, I probably would have tried to intervene when I first saw her yelling at her. And so in the second tier of our humanity, when in our daily sort of function and moving through life and things like that, going back to tier one, in that second tier for daily and those that are around us, it behooves us, it helps us as a community to consider other people's humanity. And I just a little commentary that, yeah, from the phones out recording, I get it. And we're going to talk about social media and some other things in a few seconds. It is bothersome that no one stepped in on this woman's behalf. From the footage that I saw when she landed on her face on the ground, people attended to her. And so, again, in tier one, if your humanity has been, you're walking around with trauma, your humanity is being diminished, there's an impact of that. And so it is harder to consider somebody else's humanity. I will say at this second tier, I'll go back to what I've been talking about, grace and accountability. To Diane Vivian's point about mental health, not a clinician, but most of us would presume that there's something that just didn't click. There's, moments of from the simplest terms of crashing out and spazzing out, in a moment. We don't know what her emergency was to get off the bus, to get to work, to make an appointment. Let's put all the considerations and all the things out there. Something in somebody on that bus, I would have hoped. I'm disappointed that it did not click to intervene. All right. The third thing in our humanity I wanted to mention is on this thing of the horrible human being that, let me say, it was a human, but is not a martyr and should not be treated as such. I've also seen some chatter a lot about locally where flags were still, my belief and hope that flags were still at half staff based on us coming off of September 11th. I've seen the chatter about here in the state of Massachusetts where some flags were still at half staff. And there's a large perception that that was in reference to the horrible human being who was murdered. There has been so much chatter on social media about this. Side note, that brother, and let me say his name was Trey Red, I believe Treyyyred. All this dialogue about the human being that I mentioned, share, make commentary, post, and get that boy's name, to get that man's name out there. And if need be, if people start saying that we need to call the DA and all that other stuff, do it. It's a thought, so I'm going to share it in being my authentic self. We have fell into the sunken place of ICE and immigrants, and to what my brother, and he's going to come on soon to talk about this term, foundational Black Americans. Immigration was the quickest legal illegal, some legal way, to do this racial profiling. Based on what the Supreme Court just did, I believe the end of the week before or early last week, and giving the White House essentially the ability for ICE, and I believe it's DOJ, to essentially racially profile. I need to maybe figure out how we get well, I need to follow up with a couple of people because there's some actions going on locally. Brother Aquarius, I just figured out who you was. Gary, good to see you in the room. Cousin Eric, good to see you in the room, brother. Seeing Eric in the room over on Instagram makes me think of a name, the celebration of life that I popped into yesterday with Brother Newt, and I was determined to hug 3 people, well, 4, but 1 wasn't there. And that was Sheena, Eric, Shauna, and Shagun. And Shagun wasn't able to be there. Come to find out that Jeff's partner is the daughter of one of my former bosses at Demic, and she got a good hold of me yesterday. And so to Eric and everyone else that knew and loved Jeff, we definitely send strength your way. Again, please keep the Warren family in your prayers as well. And so in this third tier, we have to, not have to, I am doing my best to consider the human being and everything that the human being said, and still believe in the fact that no human being has a right to take anyone's life. In real time, you know, I said before that a lot of our response as human beings, when someone like bin Laden was killed, it was celebratory. But I said on social media, and I thought to myself, dang, that was somebody's son, father, somebody loved him. And it's similar to the horrible human being that was recently killed. And with this chatter that's going on social media, as I was getting ready to get to, and got distracted because I look at the comments, and you notice I'm not in the comments as much today to stay focused. One subset of the comments is being fueled by a sister by the name of Tiffany something, who has a very interesting presence on social media. Black woman. She reminds me of a Christian version of what's that sister's name? I don't want to go to the comments. There's a Black woman that I can't think of her name, but she sells us out often. Part of that Christian conversation is I had to block somebody that I've known for years that was promoting more of the Christian standards that horrible human being promoted, more than citing the horribleness along with what that human being, you know, was promoting. The dichotomy of celebrating Christian tenets and values along with someone that diminished a part of humanity is interesting. So 3 tiers of humanity that I ask us to consider to help our humanity stay intact in times where it feels like there's so many things that are against it to tear it apart. I had to get that off of me. For those of you that, you know, ascribe to the faith and whatnot. Yeah, I that thing was on me heavy this morning. I mentioned a few minutes ago, in the context of it being heavy on me, is I'm aware of my influence. And though within myself, first and foremost, I often sit and ask myself, am I handling, or did I handle a situation right where I have lent my influence? And though sometimes not always perfect in the motive and in my character, and shout out to the big sister Stephanie Everett, who said some years ago that if at the end of the day you can walk past your mirror and be okay with yourself, you be okay with yourself, you're okay. In the point of influence, I'm on social media. I fluctuate somewhere between a commentator, yes, a journalist, definitely black media, and a community activist. Um, and there is intention with this influence. Where are you going, Jimmy, with this? Based on what I just said about humanity, I have to also encourage us to be cognizant of the fact of the influence of social media and what I would call the gates. Yes, it is very much stemmed in my foundation in Christianity and spiritual and demons and angels and all of that. The good angel, the bad angel on the shoulder, if you will. Um, the gates include your eye gate, your ear gate, and I think those are the only two. And some would say your spiritual gate. Social media is definitely a means in which to get to you look at it. We scroll. That's what we do. The air gate, what we listen to. Um, the air gate example is: have you ever been half asleep and left the TV on, and what you were dreaming is influenced by what's on the TV? It's said by research that when you read to um, children who are still in the womb, when you read to the fetus, they hear it. It informs their intellectualism, their level of their intellectual. They're smart. um, so I would encourage us in these times, from considering how social media's intent by a lot swayed the election with inaccurate information. There is a lot of intent of a lot of toxicity on social media with no intent of raising our community. Let me just also name, we all have our ratchet moments. We all enjoy. I have a membership to Zeus. I watch the baddies, Jocelyn, and yeah. And I've thought about it and got convicted. But I got very few guilty pleasures. And that's just one of my what you call it. And even sometimes in some of that stuff I'm watching, I'm like, oh wow. I think the other episode before last, I literally was like, yeah, I can't finish watching it because the fighting and just the um all of that to say pop culture, all that other stuff. It's real. We consume it. But in our consumption, let's be wise of the influence of it. And when it comes to politics and um, messaging around women, messaging around black men, messaging around our communities, we don't want to amplify toxicity and negative messaging. Some of the reasons that the toxicity, and I just said Zeus is what it is because people like me have a membership. But some of this promotion of toxicity on social media and our consumption, sharing, liking, and loving of it, it informs your algorithms. And based on what I said about the gates, you ever wonder why something goes on and you have a thought that's typically not of your character and you do that thing? Oh, where did that come from? Influence. Conversation is influence. I often say the theme of social construction by Professor Cuff Ferguson at UMass Boston back in 1994. Ooh, 04, 14, 20, 30 something years ago. He talked about, for example, Everything that you heard me discuss today, I've influenced your thought around it. And for the trolls, come on. Anything that we discussed, if you go into a discussion in the next few days, couple of weeks, and we talk about our humanity, or we talk about tear, or you hear somebody say there's a balance in humanity, and you'll be like, oh, Jimmy talked about the tears. There's actually 3 tears, and there's influence. And we are further reconstructing society in every conversation. And that is inclusive of a lot of the conversations that we, through our ear and eye gates and typing and engaging on social media, that also reconstructs society. So let's where a lot of the chatter on social media around, and I'm going to get to comments. Oh, Jesus, Lord. There's 104 comments on Facebook and folks on Instagram as well. So I'm going to get to them. DJ Mastermind, what's up, brother? I'm going to get to I'm going to get to the comments in a minute. A lot of the chatter on social media, to the point that I was talking about earlier, where nobody stepped up. Anybody about 21, 22 and under, I'm side-eyeing you just a little bit. No, based on what I'm getting ready to say. Anybody 35 and up, that something, and especially men, gets interesting. It was women, you got to be careful. Anyway, some of the chatter was around this generation and we're lost and things like that. From everything that's come up in the episodes at South Bay and the fight at the job fair earlier this year and all of that. Social media is a real factor, almost as much as we talk about school when we were coming up, get your education and go to college and all that other stuff. That as a focal point for our generation is comparable to the influence of social media. Uncontrolled. We starting these babies out to babysit them on the iPad. Now, if you got the little, what's the thing? Coco Club, Coco somebody, the go, whoever, educational things, blah, 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 blah. Them kids get about 5, 6 years old. And if you got YouTube on there, they navigate to a kid safe YouTube. There's stories of the kids navigating away and watching some very interesting stuff. I'm not going to get too far off. Be wise in our consumption of social media. And I would encourage content creators, social media influencers, away from the types that are food and all that other stuff. Be cognizant, is twofold. Be cognizant of the use of your influence. And then we as consumers have to be cognizant of what we promote and what we consume. All right, I'm done with my testimony Tuesday sermon for the day. One interesting thing, back to my point about, being gifted by God and things and stuff like that. I'm a seer. I know that. I embrace that. And often when I talk from these spaces, it's from a thing of what I see if we continue to and don't do our best to put up some roadblocks and barriers and warnings and some as individuals, as a community, as humanity. And when I tell y'all that thing, just for those of you that get it, you get it. That thing just lifted off of me. So let's go to the comments. Brother Bobby's in the room. All right, let's let's start with the Instagram section, because shout out to folks that were or are still in the room. Ari, Photo and Fitness, Deluxe Misfit, DJ Taylor, Miss Francis, Mother Lisa Davis, Fathers on the Move, Sis Lenny, Nikki, Eric, brother, cousin Gary, Juan J, Sister Angelina. Good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. This sister really ministered last week. For those of you that we solicited prayers for the Grace family, thank you. Sister Nia did Aunt Deborah very well in sending her home. Candace Owens, Nikki, thank you, was the young woman that I was talking about, that we have this Christian version of a Candace Owens that is just popping on social. There's a big balance between bringing attention to and promoting toxicity and negativity. I get it. It's a hard balance. Oh, Snap Star, good morning to you. The Wreck-It Co is in the room along with Brother Bobby. Smitty is in the room as well. Brother Bobby said, preach. Nikki said, we have become so far from spreading goodness due to all the social media. And social media can be used. It's apps, social media, these electronic thingies are what they are. It's us as the users who control them. I almost said something that's after dark, that's real transparent. A couple of these little dating apps, the perception of them is that they're hookup apps. Every once in a while, I've went on and been like, okay, let's see if there's something out there to catch my eye, engage. And then, you know, if you get beyond the ratchery, you know, it's based on the user. And so we can promote good, to Nikki's point, on social media. DJ Mastermind, Bobby said that we become complicit with a lot of the negativity that goes on. DJ Mastermind talks about the fact that social media is 80% of people's reactions. Best believe it. I believe what he's saying there, that what we express on social media is if there wasn't social media, how we would react and interact in real life with the situation. We're giving commentary on a lot, but if we were in it and had influence or control over it, or was participating in it, he's saying that 80% of what we post is what we would do. Interesting. I like that. Mill Walker, Sister Walker, Mildred, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Mama Java and the good brother Yard Time just jumped on Instagram as well. I said a little bit here the Monday after, but just want to sell. So Joey, I rode down Smith Street yesterday, and to look to the left and see Pauline Bennett Way just sitting there like that, it was, I couldn't pull over because I was in a lift. But good to see you in the room, brother, and thank you for all you do in the community, especially when it comes to holding space for brothers that are dealing with their humanity after they've been wrongfully convicted and going through stuff with BMs. And yes, I said it. I'm gonna hold space for brothers for a minute. Sorry, no judgment. Okay, we are done. Angelina said, everyone is human until it's you, man. To say it and complete it without a commentary thought of interruption. Everyone is human until it's you, man. That's what Miss Angelina said. Okay. I'm still scrolling. Over on Facebook, Sister Soraya, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Dina, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Mama Java, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Again, please keep my mother and the Warren side of our family in prayer, as Dee and Hank buried little Hank yesterday. Nicole, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Marion, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Nisi, good morning. Good to see you in the room this morning. Sister Debbie, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room. Pastor Sharon Cornelius, good morning to you. Pastor Naraki, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room this morning. Merlot, hello, Real Boston Media. Good to see you guys in the room. Latoya, Latoya, good morning. Good to see you in the room. I believe that's a new name in the Java Cafe. You all please go and welcome her. Michelle D. Smith, buenos dias to you too, and good morning. Dina is letting us know and stay aware that ICE was in Fields Corner this morning, so please be aware of that. Pam, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room, Miha. The Real Boston Media said, laugh out loud. Isn't that funny? If it wasn't for socials making it trend, it would have never made the news. And shout out, as I said, to Mike Dees. Because they wanted Newton and I was riding down MLK yesterday, and we seen one of the legacy outlets. And at the time, we were like, why were they out there? Are they, what are they doing? And then when we saw the coverage come up, Mike Dees was out 2 days ahead of this. So when Nikki talks about good, it's Jesus. Leave that boy alone. Leave that man alone. Please. I'm going to behave. Dina said the female needs to be held accountable, but no one should post her address. Absolutely. Absolutely. Back to this grace and accountability thing. Like, she has a child. Who does she live with? Is there an elderly person in her house? And we're bringing the noise. And then I seen some chatter also that somebody talked about that they want to unalive her. I understand the spirit in which the rage comes from. Okay, let me pause for a minute and give credit. That energy, even though it's channeled in an anger, in a getting at her and unaliving her, guess what, y'all? That's y'all humanity. Something in you with not knowing her is like, wait, no. So as much as I was saying we need to tap more into it, we are tapped into it. We just need to be more intentional about it and then channel the energy correctly. I just thought about that in real time. That energy that's at her, it's in its essence, it's humanity. Oh, I everything within me wants to believe that, and I do believe it, because if you don't know her and you're just identifying if that was my and that's a, I'm still going to go with the fact that we tapped into our humanity. I'm not going to let that good go. Belinda, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Good morning, Java fam, Mama Java, and aunties. Opal, good morning. I haven't seen you, I don't think, in a while, and I may have just not flashed your name on, but good to see you in the room this morning. Belinda said the lady looked lost. What was it her stop so upsetting? Well, that part of it too. Rhonda, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Good to hug you on Friday. Nicole says, please pray for my mother who was diagnosed with stage 3 kidney disease and has a cyst on her kidneys and pancreas. So Mama Java, Sharon, everybody that prays, and if you believe in, you say send healing energy, any positive, anything good, Ma, please add, and Nicole, please inbox Ma your mom's name. And so if you're comfortable sharing it here so people can call her name out in prayer, please post it as well, and we will share it. Ma said, how would you feel if it happened to her? How would she feel if it happened to her mother? Absolutely. Agreed. Dina says, Nicole Hart sending healing prayers for her mom. My mother and them are already praying for Nicole. So do that. Comments are delayed. Well, I did a whole lot of commentary, but comments are delayed a little bit here, so please forgive me. Nikki is praying for Nicole's mom as well and saying hi to Mama Java as well. Good morning to Serenity on Instagram. DJ Mike Boss, good morning to you. Good to see you in the room on Instagram as well. Michelle D. Smith says, truth, every life matters. Every life does matter. I'm going to be honest, seeing every life just took me back to, I was a little triggered to All Lives Matter in reference to Black Lives Matter. But Michelle, I know that's not what you're saying. Every life matters. We are all creations of God. No one has the right to take anyone's life or exert unwarranted violence. Absolutely, in that context, perfectly agree. From words to post and whatnot, who are we to put our hands on and try to take somebody out? Like, that's some pride up in there, y'all. Mama Java says, people on the bus should have stopped her from leaving the bus. And where was the bus driver? So to that point, there's been a lot of chatter about that. From rules to safety, do you all see that now Y'all don't remember, along with other footage we've seen on MBTA buses where bus drivers were attacked? Do y'all now remember coming up? We didn't have a shield between us and the bus driver. Nowadays, they have a whole big shield that they lock themselves in. I'm not exactly sure. And if there are any MBTA drivers in the conversation right now, are you all prohibited from getting out of your seatbelt when that bus was in motion? Well, stopped, but being driven. I don't think he may have had the brake on. I don't think it was, well, it may have been in park, presumably, if they were all the time they've been there. They probably were in park. Anyway, if someone that works for the MBTA is on, please let me know if you all are prohibited from getting out that seat. That may be an issue. And also, someone in the comments said on social media that these days, the moment that man stood up, he was at risk for being attacked. If she pushed that elder, Real Boston Media. And I got to say that I often fellowship with one of the folks over there, and we've had some very hard, for me, conversations about what it is that they observe through their platform, through life, about humanity and where we are in this generation. So without even reading the comment, let's go. Humanity is a word that changed its meaning in recent memory, in recent times, recently, all of that. To one of our weather, rain, sleet, or snow public service providers via mail, Veronica Michelle Evans said, "Good morning." Michelle D. Smith further comments and says, "Deeply troubling that anyone would push anyone off of public transit, especially an elder. If I was present, I would have carefully intervened based on the golden rule." What's the golden rule? Consider yourself, or treat others as you would have them to do unto you. Y'all school me real quick. Sister Soraya said, "I would have went off." Now, first of all, if y'all know Sister Soraya, she's a meek sister that, part of the mother's board and all that, but she got she had to get me together some years ago when I was youth pastor. Sister Soraya got she'll give you that energy. Oh God, I can see it's going down. Now wait a minute. Sister Soraya said I would have went off on her, and she had the nerve to do that, if she had the nerve to do that to anyone. Outside of the fact of a man, Sister Soraya, for a child, for another woman, and for elder, yes. You intervening for a man, unless they were intellectually challenged, let that man. Real Boston Media said to Mother Java, "He was right there. I kind of understand why he didn't do anything. I understand the outrage, why nobody didn't do anything, but I also understand why nobody did anything." To that point, I was out with the same person from the from Real Boston Media Group, and they were doing some content. And we were at a place, and I'm going somewhere with this, to their point about intervening, the bus driver and others. We were at an establishment, and at this establishment, a group of about 8 to 10 young people came in, sat there, didn't buy anything, pulled out their frontal and their weed, and commenced rolling it. Now, I tell y'all all the time, I'm a youth worker. I started in youth work. I will always be a youth worker. Everything, I'm looking at the owner's doing his thing with bringing the food for the content, and I'm just sitting there flabbergasted. And so they see my energy, not the young people, but the person I was with sees my energy and was like, nope. Because these days, I say YKs, but the term that's being used with the Y, they're different. I was like, I don't care. I'll take my belt off, wait for their parents. I'll pick up a chair. I wish they would. I'll whoop their tail. And they was like, nah, bruh, this is, they different. And so we do have to be, intentional, careful. But I know for me, if I was on that bus, instinct would have creeped in, and then maybe I would, if I had to respond, whatever. But yeah, to the Real Boston Media's point, that is definitely real. We do have to be careful in safety. Uncle Thaddeus is in the room. Good morning. Fear is real. Everyone says they would do, but that's not. And perfect timing for this comment to come up, though. He probably typed it a few minutes ago. There is a risk that we take being shot, being stabbed, being spit on, because you know that changes the game a little bit. Pastor Marion said that compassion is missing in our society. Instagram, I see you all over there. I'm going to come back in a second. There were, I don't know how many let me scroll and see how many comments we got left over here on Facebook. Mama Java said a phone call, flash police light, something, and that stopped the bus, and that's real. Sister Soraya said she wouldn't have had a chance to get off that far. I wouldn't have had touched her, but I would have gave her some choice words. Sister Soraya, you be careful out there. Real Boston Media says they may have done it for BPD because Trump called for a national lowering. I think that's to the point. So it's interesting. Real Boston Media, now we're moving into, I guess, some of the commentary about the flag being lowered. And I actually asked somebody that's a part of the administration. They have yet to get back to me, and just asking, are you aware that, this is chatter? This is why I don't look at the phone. Oh, I haven't got an answer back in reference to the flag. And so again, my belief and hope is, now the other part I have to consider is, by law, if the White House declares half-staff, are we obligated by law that all, because it's the flag of the United States of America? I don't know. Side note, shout out to the governor. And I don't know if it started under Charlie Baker or her, but whatever the fact, there is a change coming to the seal of Massachusetts. If you're familiar, the seal of Massachusetts has a sword in it with a hand. And if somebody could just put in the comments in English what that sword represents from I don't remember the exact tribe, but we are on land that is in all this ICE stuff. Ain't nobody got no reason trying to put nobody out here if you were not part of it, if you were not native to this country. So let's keep that 100. So back to the Real Boston Media's point. If it's the United States flag of America, you have to, I believe you may have to do it at half-staff. To Dina's point, still here, Trump ordered flags at half-staff for that guy. Yeah. Humanity. Those that loved him, Obi, good morning, brother. Good to see you. And this is Boston's photographer. I'm just going to leave that right there. Michelle D. Smith says, don't understand no one doing anything. The golden rule needs to be reignited in every human being so that apathy and being emotionally numb is abnormal. It's unfortunately normal now. COVID, ancestral trauma in our DNA, life, all of that. Thank you all. Nicole put wow, we're real behind. Candace Owens was the name that I was referring to, that preacher woman. Veronica said, all I say is you reap what you sow. I can't find a tear. The Real Boston Media said, Candace Owens, I hate what she be doing. Yeah, there's another one out there. I'm done. Real Boston Media said she's a female Kanye. All right, we're going to take a break from Facebook for just a minute and go over. Milagro is Nicole is the last one. Over on Instagram, Nikki is praying for Nicole's mom, saying hi to Sharon Cornelius. Mildred is saying, I was on a bus when a fight broke out. All the driver did was call the police, and that's probably all they really can do. Bus driver would have been all over social media and in trouble if he got up and did anything. Let's keep that 100. Right there on that corner. Listen, let me tell y'all something. Real Boston Media can attest. Right there around the corner, on that corner, there's footage of young people fighting the police. I don't know what's up with that corner, but Steffi Wright, good morning to you. Miss Lovely, good morning to you. Nubian Square Foundation, brother Wawa, I just mentioned you about that term that we've been talking about. C.E. Brooks, why does that name look familiar? C.E. Brooks Photos, good to see you in the room. Nicole is saying to the Real Boston Media, she makes my stomach hurt in reference to Candace Owens. The good bishop, pastor, Brandon Marshall, I pray you enjoyed your birthday, brother. Good to see you in the room. God bless you with many more. Thank you, man. You're a little bit late. Love you, godson. Nephew, you're one of the best out here, sir. We appreciate, man. All right. I'm going to try to skip those. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you. Sister Rhonda said, come on and preach and teach. Real Boston Media said, say it out, baby. You got it. The ratchery. Belinda, Mouthgate, what you speak and personal. Mouthgate, what you speak and personal sex organ gates, who you receive into your soul, guard all gates with intention and prayer. So that speaks to what I was saying before. I knew there was another gate. I forgot. Kind of the spiritual, the soul gate. Is there belief that I believe that when you have sex with someone, it's not just a physical act. Even when you're little hookups, you get up, you leave a little bit of you there more than the nut. When she get up, or whoever's getting up or whatever, there is an exchange of energy when you have sex. You do know that, right? Belinda, why? I just literally got a headache. And usually it's over the right side, but it came over on this side. Oh, there it goes. All right. It's just something. All right. It's where it's supposed to be. Michelle D. Smith, my consumption of pop culture is extremely limited as I don't desire to be exposed to negativity and toxicity. Absolutely. Pastor Centoria Grant, good morning. Good to see you in the room. That part, protect your gates. And to Belinda's point, if you are opening up the sex gates, make sure we're getting ready to get back into cuffing season, y'all. We got an event coming up soon where y'all can come and get some things to protect your gates. Okay. I can't wait to see the comments, catch up with that. Laney says, good morning, James W. Hills, and good morning, everyone. Pastor Laney, Elder, Reverend, good to see you in the room. Leslie Moreland, good morning to you. Good to Coco Melon. That's who it is. Good to see you in the room. Jermaine, brother, good to see you in the room. If y'all know Jermaine, he is not talking about Coco Melon. He's talking about Coco Gamble. Tyrone, brother, good to see you in the room, sir, this morning, as always. Laney, good morning. All right, I think I'm catching up with the comments. Dina said, positive testimony Tuesday, and your positive testimony Tuesday, and your influence was my testimony of your influence on me. Dina, what? Thank you. I'd rather read that than you asking a question and then having me turn red. The Real Boston Media says, I figured out why negativity thrives on socials versus positivity. I'm going to look and see what the Real Boston Media says. But some years ago, when Chip said something on Instagram that the first few words I said, which is real, but I'm interested for his full commentary. To the Real Boston Media's point, I took media literacy back in 1993 at UMass Boston. And what we talked about, there is some science behind the fact that the brain desires new information. And we've talked about this before. Part of it is that chaos and fights and fires and violence, you don't necessarily know how things are going to turn up. And so our brains are wired to constantly, it just wants more new all the time, similar to like a computer. The more information you give it, the more it does, blah, 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 blah. In that media literacy class, to the Real Boston Media's point, and I'm curious to what they're going to say further in the comments, there's a scientific data piece to that, let alone all the social emotional or lack of social emotional awareness, trauma, and all that other stuff. And so I'm curious to what they're going to say. Tashad is in the room. Good morning. Yes, this is an attention economy, and our mind is the currency. Protect your assets. Chip is saying hello to Angelina over on Facebook. Since we're here with Chip on Facebook, let's go see. Is that Chip? That is the same Chip. Okay. Chip, thank you for the double numbers, brother, on Facebook and Instagram. Chip said, I believe in response to my comment, One is he said MBTA drivers must call the police, and also said Popeyes, YMCA, bar, $1 dollar store, liquor store, and one block. You expect on that block? What do you expect on that block, James? There are other blocks that are like that. And so it not to necessarily the chip, but yeah. I get what he's saying, but he answered my question. What is it about that block? Latin Academy. Okay, let's add to it. Latin Academy up the street, the charter school right across from Latin Academy. This is where potentially the old model of street workers could have been a impact. I'm going to leave that there. Chip also says, good morning, ISIS in Dorchester. Thank you for raising that as well. Lainey said, I was very angry seeing that video. She just needs to be arrested and serve time. It is a grace and accountability. If it was an assault, and the law will decide. Belinda said, as I said earlier, Mike Dees was already ahead of the local news. Side note, this is why local, community-driven Black media needs to be Jesus Lord. It's 10:59. And my coffee's cold. So we done been here a minute. This is Nikki talked about positive energy. I've often said, and I will tell you all right now, I will go live and talk about holding space for trauma. I'll talk about politics, and Carlos and I will do numbers, and we'll do after dark around politics. I'll share something on social media right now about farmers markets that you can get up to $40 a month if you use an EBT card and shop at farmers market. Interesting when it comes to the sharing and the promotion of and amplifying good things in our community on social media. I can guarantee you, if at 3 p.m. today, I put up a post that I'm going live at 3:30, I'm going to cuss out Josh Kraft, and I'm going to also call out the fact that, I don't know, that da-da-da-da-da-da. I can guarantee you, if I went off right now on a live, oh boy, those numbers would be interesting. And so, to the point about Mike Dees and raising awareness about this, and Black media, Spark FM, Women's Woke Media, and Urban Heat, and Java with Jimmy, promote these Black-owned entities, especially if we're sharing information and making you aware. Spark had candidates on. Urban Heat had candidates on. I had candidates on. Woke Women does the thing with conversations with women and whatnot. So, to Belinda's point, that's why community-driven, though, a lot of it covers pop and social and all that other stuff. This is this young man's fourth pointing to. There's this, the dollar store. The dollar store was the Blue Hill. That's the same thing. Was there a rat in some food place or something? High Park Bridge. Influence. All right, we're getting ready. I'm tired. We're getting ready to wrap up. You can't unalive her for it, but she must be held accountable, because that is awful. And I didn't see anyone help just recording too. We definitely discussed that. Pastor Grant, thank you for praying for Nicole's mom, Leslie as well. Michelle D. Smith said, Nicole Hart, we lift up in prayer your mom, prayerful that Jehovah Rapha, God who heals, will extend his healing touch toward your mom. Sister Soraya, we got a whole mother's board in here that prays. Sister Soraya is praying for Nicole's mom as well. Chip said, humanity definition and meaning, Merriam-Webster, the meaning of humanity is compassionate, sympathetic, and generous behavior of disposition, the quality, a state of being humane. Absolutely. Obi, Boston's photographer, the corner 345. One society steered away from spare the rod, spoil the child. It begun to go down. Oh, once society steered away from spare the rod, spoil the child, it begun to go downhill. Too many people keep quiet about childish behavior instead of speaking up and standing up. Obi also says, I'm tired of people being quiet about foolish behavior. Redirect and correct the behavior. I'm not ignoring them. Angela Elizabeth, I just said a few minutes ago, personality on Urban Heat that's on from 6 to 9, Monday through Friday, 7 to 10. The Real Boston Media also, I didn't even say what she said. It is unimaginable, but real. Angie, there's hopefully today, but there's some action on that pothole. I understood yesterday that there was an attempt to try to connect. So yeah. The Real Boston Media, these days, a civilian is a civilian until you go against them. Now your enemy. So you gotta bow out gracefully. You can't engage. It's life-threatening in these times. To my point a few minutes ago, that the Real Boston Media is talking about the engaging. Real Boston Media, you did not give us your philosophy. I know some of it, but you did not. I don't think you did. I don't think you posted here why more negativity toward than positive on socials. Obi is saying that, yeah, they move in a group, but it's a matter of standing up and speaking up as a community. Why are we letting them or this become the norm? It's the sensitivity to, because I had a conversation with Tina Sherry recently, and I was talking about some of the young people, and oh boy, if you know Tina Sherry, she was not happy. And I didn't get to finish, but all she heard was, and the young people, and then she just, and then she had a meeting and had to go. But there is grace and across the board, grace and accountability. They need to be accountable. Their parents need to be held accountable, but we do have to extend some level of grace. To Thaddeus's point, all those things plus being sued and arrested yourself. I believe that Uncle Thaddeus is talking in reference to the bus driver. Because if he did anything and got physical, he could have been sued and then he could have got arrested. Or if that's who Uncle Thaddeus is talking about. Wait a minute, y'all. Is this who I think it is? My young person, Akila, got married, so she has if this is who I think it is, it was good to see you this weekend. And this is someone that we had a conversation this weekend about politics and stuff. Okay. Some of these younger people continue to act this way because they don't have anyone to really believe in them and tell them that to get their act together, it starts at home. And that kind of goes, I love when the comments line up with the commentary within like the last minute. To the point that I was saying about, giving our young people grace, it does start at home. We've often said that home for some of these young people is interesting. When I was a youth worker, I got frustrated because I was aware of a situation at home and I was walking back and forth through the day reporting center. And I was like, it don't make no sense. We do all this here and then we send them home. And then what? What do the parents do? Just mess up everything that we do here. And we got to give grace and accountability to parents in their situations as well. Hakeem, thanks for the post on ICE in Boston. Absolutely. I think Dina shared it as well. Chip, you just shared. Shout out to Black Dollar that's in the room, just joining the bridge in reference to Mike D's. Belinda goes on to further say, I do not use that term. At least. And even Real Boston Media can attest. I'd be like, YKs. Young people are wilding, but that's old school. Help them out. If you jump, just be ready to go all the way. And that's the thing, because based on what the Real Boston Media said, your life could be threatened. And first of all, my 54-year-old righteous indignation. And then you put my life at risk. Oh, Lord Jesus. So I think I got further clarity to Thaddeus' point. Intervening with these young people, not just the bus driver, but us as individuals, can be sued or arrested. I think I got the clarity to your last comment, Uncle Thaddeus. Obi goes further to say, and it's predominantly our youth. What that says to me is that our community needs to step up and raise our community instead of saying, that's not my child. I'm not saying anything. I'm tired of this. We become more and more divided and corruptible because of it. Obi brings balance to what we talked about of being careful, and then that tier 2 in our humanity of seeing things happen. But the mask, you got to listen. You can't put yourself at risk. Angela is over now on Facebook as well and said it's dumb. I don't know what that's in reference to because there's a lot of dumb stuff going on here. Songstress. Chip, no doubt on my morning coffee run and ice grab 3 humans on their way to work. So ICE is in Boston. I will accelerate the conversation I need to have with a couple of folks that are putting actions together. I even was reached out to from someone from DC, kind of give us a heads up of things. So Trump said on a news conference last night that he did the half mask because he was the half mask, I think, or mask, half mask, because he was asked by the governor. I'm waiting to hear if anyone fact checked the Pastor Marion, give that energy, boy. Akila, if they had better home training, then maybe they would do better. It's a hard balance, with home. And so a few other things I thought about this morning in reference to that incident on the bus is when I was at Harvard School of Public Health taking a youth worker training that we found out later was actually a study of youth workers because there was a whole paper written about us. We got some good training, Harvard level professors, doctorate level folks in various different areas. We learned in that series that 1997 was going to be a spike in the teenage population. I do not know what the teenage pregnancy rates were in 1997. I'm going somewhere with this. We are also, and I've said this before, and it's a hard statement. I'll say it intentionally differently now. With the coupling of the acceleration of the teen generation in 97, 07, 14, that puts them at 20 teenage pregnancy kids. In 14, we are now at them being about 11. If they had kids anytime from 97, 07, 97, 07, and 17, presumably they'd be 20 years old. That group I'm talking about in 97. If they were teen parents, their kids now are what? Teens. In 97, I was the first generation of offspring of the impact of crack. These children come from a large number of potential teen parents whose parents may have potentially been dealing with crack, who some were raised by their grandparents because the parents were locked up or just, unfortunately, some passed away. So this generation now, oh, Jesus, with all that they're dealing with, ancestral trauma in their DNA, everything that I just named, there has to be a way to figure out how to come up to a youth service model that is informed by the last by consideration of the impact of social media, the pandemic, poverty, the economy on young people, youth workers and stuff. And it's so interesting because in a couple of weeks, I get to host and spend a day with youth workers, not just from Boston, not just from Massachusetts, but folks are flying in from the region for this event. And so I'm going to check in with them and see what they're thinking and whatnot. So I got there by, I believe, home training, all that our young people are dealing with, and the construct of the parents right now that are raising young people anywhere from 14 to maybe about 17. Have I done a research on this? Have I put out a white paper on this? No. But when it comes to youth work, I've been in it a little while. Songstress Angelina says you have to. Additionally, let's defer from saying any of their names. So I saw your post. Why do you think I say the this energy wasn't directed towards you, Angelina, but I say the horrible human being that had horrible things to say about other human beings. I'm not saying that man's name. I just seen somebody who's on that I have to big up a little bit. And he talks about the boy found hung by the neck at college. Yep. Started off with it this morning. This good brother who provides such a service to our community, Brother Stanley Stacko, the mayor was on a couple of years ago and basically said, you know, if she don't get a call from the commissioner, she hears something or whatever, she goes to Stacko's page to see what's going on. Morning, brother. We felt bad to have missed the bus incident. Finding qualified daytime volunteers to cover the city to continue to be a challenge for us. Keeping the public safe is always our priority. Stacko, you all put Stacko, S-T-A-C-O, in the comments and thank this brother because he provides a service to this city that listen, keeps us up to date. I know we got all the other apps and whatnot, but Stacko provides a good service. Angela Elizabeth says, and he talks about the boy. That was that we covered that. I thought that was Angelina. So we got two songstresses in the room today, Angela Elizabeth and Angelina. And I'm about to say her whole Angelina. What's your last name? Angelina Songbird. Angelina Hightower and Angelina Elizabeth are both in the room. And so the Real Boston was verifying what we said, what Chip said about that corner over at MLK Boulevard. Popeye's there on the corner. It was a the footage. I'm trying to remember the footage, but it was a state police officer. Leslie said that corner needs some Holy Ghost. The Real Boston Media said this ain't after dark. Belinda started it. And abort mission. Okay, now we're at the point that we were talking about the gates and all that. Oh, it's 11:15. I'm trying to give everybody, I appreciate the engagement, and I wanted to, this is what we do. Engage in community, protect my gates. If that's the case, where's my secrets? I just get off of here, Real Boston Media. I got 3 months to get why you got 3 months to get married? Nah, Chip, I get you. I'm to the point about the what Chip identified about that MLK and Warren Street corner. That's real. I just never really thought about it. You know, seeing it named like that. Yeah, I get it. And then to add to that, Latin Academy and the Roxbury Prep, that I think is where Rox Comp was back in the day. So that's a whole lot going on there. Real Boston Media says, we try to be positive and good people, laugh out loud. So when we see negativity, it's like, oh, snap, an example of what I'm trying not to be. Okay. It's like going to Target. Well, you don't go to Target and Walmart anymore. Are we going to Walmart? Asking for a friend. I can't remember the last time I've been. I have not been in Target and Walmart. I can unequivocally say at least since, did I do holidays at thing? Let me not lie. I had a gift card left over in the spring that someone gave me, and I spent down the last bit of that. But anyway, are we back at? We're definitely not at Target. Jamal Bryant, shout out to everything that he, Black Dollar, On Code, Angela Ray, and all them other folks are doing. Shout out to them. Second part of the Real Boston Media's comment says, it's like going to Target or Walmart to get one thing and walking out with 15 things, same premise. Again, what I said about the our brain wanting new information and all that other stuff is just you process it quicker in the brain. It's just the way it's constructed. But we can change, we can control that to some extent. Graduations, weddings, love stories, positive things, teddy bears, sunrises. The brain knows what's going to come up. You're going to see hues of orange, red, and blue. The teddy bear is going to be fluffy. They're going to kiss at the wedding. The brain knows that. We have to retrain our brains. The eye gate, the ear gate, and the soul gate. And we'll leave that there. Walgreens is gone on that corner as well. Assault on an elderly is a federal offense, says Olby. Milagro, good morning. Good to see you in the room. Jimmy needs more after dark so he can just say whatever. No, we don't. No, we don't. No, we don't. God cover her baby in reference to the young woman that had a baby on that bus with her in the carriage. Oh God, that, you know, in real time, to Angie's point, trying to detain that woman with her baby there. may have got very interesting. I just thought about, and I have been thinking about all of this. Like, I've thought about what's that child's home life like? We talked about it starts at home. The Real Boston Media. She was probably watching the Zeus. I'm not. Time flies when we're having great conversations. Absolutely, Lainey. Angelina Hightower, all be correct. They are a protected class. So seniors are protected. Chip says, James, can we talk about the grocery stores, Dorchester Food Co-op, and the end of Daily Table and Market Basket? Market Basket from Bowdoin and Geneva is leaving. This is one reason why, if you have EBT, it is important to understand that you can get up to $40 a month for fresh fruits and vegetables when you're shopping at locals farmers markets. This message is brought to you by the Boston Public Health Commission, the City of Boston, and the Center for Disease Control. Food deserts are real. Yeah. Food deserts, farming. It's a thought in real time. None of this is by happenstance. And I'll just leave that there before I go down a whole nother sunken place rabbit hole of the intentionality of a lot of this. Am I almost caught up with comments yet? Nope. Oh, Jesus. All right. We're almost there, y'all. We're almost there. Akila Rogers said, this is a huge platform with space for everyone at the table. No need to fight. Everyone has their own niche and own way to do things. Support, uplift, and grow Black media. Absolutely. I think is that my Akila? This is my little Akila, because the other Akila, the reporter, spells her name different. Okay, I know which Akila this is. Hi, Akila. Hey, why should better update that last name, Jesus. Nicole, thank you so much, Shell. Thank you for praying for Nicole's mom. Angela, I'm gonna leave this right there, Jesus. The Real Boston Media further says, for a lot of young people, home is like jail already. I'm an example, laugh out loud. I remember my days as a young person. Home made me act out. When I left home, it was my way of rebelling. Listen, my mother kept my sisters and I in the house. And there's always that belief that when you keep them in the house, once you set them free, oh, they go buck wild. You got to have some balance to monitoring them, being helicopter parents. Yeah, that we definitely got to be more cognizant of the balance of the two. Angela said, you don't want to protect our people, don't expect them. Well, yeah. So my point about a lot of intentionality. Belinda says, Mayor Wu, we need license to carry things like this. Isn't a municipal issue. The only way the municipality has some input is the local police department has to sign off on your LTC application. This is a state county issue, and probably more state because of state gun laws. Things like this wouldn't happen. Folks would be too scared to hurt others, or at least think twice if everybody. License to carry, especially in these times, is interesting. My concern is, do we just now become a society that because we're licensed to carry, does that carry go to shooting? Interesting. Real Boston Media, U.S. rates were 94.3 per 1,000 age 15 to 19. And if you could tell me in reference to what that is to the Real Boston Media, I would appreciate it. We're catching up with the comments, everyone. I love and appreciate the engagement. Some of these parents are as bad as the kids, trying to act like the kids. Ma, that is interesting. I definitely get it. And based on what I said, what we learned some years ago about the adolescent population spike, along with them being some teen parents, along with the fact of the crack influence on their parents and or grandparents with COVID, with the impact of Trump won. 103 pregnancies per one. Oh, thank you. 103 pregnancies per 15 to 44, which actually was the lowest recorded since 1876. So that was in 1976. So thank you for those rates. But I was trying to get 1997. But thank you for the research of Real Boston Media. But that also lends to 15 to 44. It's hard to extract from that stat quoted there what the teenage pregnancy rates were. And let me just say this: I'm a product of a teen mom. Teen mom is not an automatic dictator of I've been through some things in life, so has my mom, but single parent homes and teen parents, I just want to raise that. And also raise the fact that some of this action and some of this stuff these young people are doing, they come from two-parent homes with some well-off parents. To the Real Boston Media's point earlier, sometime, and let's remember, to Angelina's point, some of the rebellion and behavior of young people rather, y'all know that's normal, right? We did it. It's them finding themselves. And in a society now where social, anyway, you already heard that dissertation. Pastor Marion said, when I was a youth leader, I held real conversations with youth, sharing me with them. I did the same thing, Pastor Marion. That's why now till today, I still have some great long-standing relationships with my former young people. They become friends to some extent. There'll always be that little bit there, but it's never have to be it's never crossed or whatever. It was more crossed when they were young people, when I got on their nerves. Angelina says, bang bang boy, the carrot in the place to Can I just say, as we often do, we've talked about a lot of heavy stuff today. And when we do have these moments to kind of snicker, they have to balance some of the heavy stuff we've named today. Angelina said, bang, bang, boy. Angelina, bang, bang, boy, the carrot and the place to where the carrot resides. Obi, thank you to Stacko. Stacko, definitely. Real Boston Media. Angela Elizabeth Stacko, thank you. Angelina, thank you so much for being with us today. Mama Java says thank you, and prayers, of course, to Stacko as well. Dina said Roxbury Prep moved to Proctor Street, 1010 Mass Ave. So Roxbury Academy, it's a middle school right up the street from that point that Chip was raising, but it's, still a lot of young people. I'm going to get ready to wrap up. Shameless plug, Real Boston Media. Where was the plug? All right. I think I'm catching up, you all. Okay. Back in the day, I got beat with an extension cord once. My Aunt Mary, or was it Richard? I got beat with an extension cord once. Woo boy, that thing ain't nothing nice. Dina has her license, Lord Jesus. Dina has her license to carry. You asked for the birth rates. 1997. Okay, you was put in 1976. Thank you. I appreciate it. Real Boston Media. So to that point, 15 to 44 back then, that 15 is a low number up to 44. So I'm curious what those numbers were of teenage pregnancies. All right. Oh. Brother Stan, you're late and we getting ready to go. It is 11:26. We did an hour. I don't know what did, at least once a week for the past 3 weeks. We've been hitting 90 minutes. I got a little headache and we're going to get ready to wrap up. Roxbury Prep is down in that area. I don't know the name of the school where Roxbury Comp used to be. Latosh, good morning, sis. Good to see you in the room. Mildred says we don't need more guns. We need more Holy Ghost. How about shy? Okay. Young parents who are not parented of being asked to parent. Young parents who are not parented of parents. Young parents who are not parented of being asked to be parents. I believe what Angela is saying there, that we're asking them to parent and they weren't parented. Some of the brothers that's been in here has talked about the fact that it's hard for them. It's interesting for them to father when they were not fathered. Real Boston Media, thank you for the clarity here, because I was going to scroll back up. 15 and 19 was 94 pregnancies per 1,000 in 1997. That's teen, sir. Thank you. See, you had typos. Don't be getting me, but I'm glad we got the clarity. So 94 per 1,000 based on the population in 1997, that's going to give us the rate of teenage pregnancy. But still, if we had a bulk of the more teens we had, what? The more potential that we had, what? More teenage pregnancy. And unfortunately, the way the government works, the numbers go up, they put money behind it. The numbers go down, they take the money away and allocate it elsewhere until the numbers what? Go back up again. It is 11:28, everyone. My good brother and friend, advisor, brother Sean just jumped on Instagram. Good to see you. The Java is always overflowing. Good morning. Big blessings to all. Diane Vivian, we was talking about your point earlier that you raised around the mental health, around that young lady on the MBTA bus incident. It is 11:29. We are going to wrap up. We're going to get some information out, but I ask each and every one of you that are here to please come to the Museum of Science on, let me actually get the link and put it in the comments now. On October 15th at 7 p.m. through our partnership and residency at the world-renowned Museum of Science, we will celebrate 5 years of Java with Jimmy, our physical together celebration, though the anniversary is in Viper. We everywhere. What's up, Viper? We are celebrating the 5 years of Java with Jimmy, but we are also recognizing people that have made exceptional movement in the space of humanitarianism, volunteerism, public health, and I am also giving an award out on behalf of the platform. And so I'm trying to get the link right now. There it is. That's crazy. Seeing this here is the link to get your free tickets to the 5-year Java with Jimmy celebration. It's called the 5-year Red Cup celebration, and you can get your tickets here. They are free. We have a DJ that night. I talked to Jeff yesterday. We're going to have some light refreshments for you. We're giving out the awards. We're going to have a light conversation. Then we're going to party. There's going to be a cash bar. We're going to curate a couple of Java with Jimmy drinks. There will be a Java with Jimmy mocktail. Dope DJ. Put on your red, black, and white. Think sneaker ball. Diane, it's not brown sugar level. But you know, it's what you call it. Java with Viper. Y'all got to go to Instagram to see that video. But yes, please plan to come to the Museum of Science on October 15th. It's a Wednesday evening. We will get you out of there by 9:30. This is an 18+ event. So get you a babysitter. I'm saying 21+, but the museum is 18+. All right. Alcohol will be served. And they're, for a cost. We're not going to have an open bar. We're going to have a cash bar. So yes. Today was an active day, one of the most active. It was. And the fact that we're glad that the Real Boston Media was here to be a part of it. I'm saying, all right, I really got to go because, yeah, thank you all for being here to the Real Boston Media's point. This is part of the essence of what formed the Java family and the Java Cafe over 5.5 years ago. And so really announcing and pumping up the 15th on today with all this activity was so apropos. I can't tell you yet, but I encourage you to save the date of October 2nd. And I won't give any more hints. Oh, save the date of October 2nd at 12 noon. Oh, let me also say this. Tomorrow morning at 10 a.m., in her first interview, sit down, we won't be together, but in her first more than quick out in the street and Mike's running up on her, Mayor Michelle Wu will be with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. for her monthly appearance in her first interview since winning 48% over Josh Kraft and since he suspended his campaign. Mayor Michelle Wu will be with us tomorrow at 10 a.m. So please plan to come. I think so. You all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. with